Welcome back to the Cop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. It's Luke, it's Greg. We're over here in Italy. We're actually in Venice.
Floating about on boats and that.
Well, we've both done Milan a couple of times, so it was nice to come and visit a different city. But we're here to give you the immediate post-match, I'd say then, post-press conference reaction to Arne Slot speaking ahead of the Inter Milan game. Mainly because everyone and their dog knew that this was all going to be about Mohamed Salah, the entire press conference, and that's pretty much what it was. And for those who haven't seen it already, he spoke for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then Alisson Becker come on and spoke after him. Mainly, like we said, all about Mohamed Salah. We're just going to jump into a few of them quotes straight away now, Greg, if that's okay. So, first of all, he was basically asked about throwing Mo Salah under the bus. I thought in his answer slot, to be honest, I thought he did defer quite a bit. Essentially, he said his relationship with Mohamed Salah, he didn't feel like it was broken down until the comments come out, which would be a massive contradiction to what Mo Salah said, but he feels like the relationship wasn't there anymore. He did say that they spoke twice before the Leeds game about, I assume, about minutes. He didn't really go into too much detail on that. And then they haven't spoken since the statement was released on Saturday night, apart from Arnie to say to Mo today, you won't be travelling, which was, you know, common procedure.
I mean, Alisson even said that, to be fair, in his little section, that Salah not going to Italy today is just a consequence of his action. And again, I can't really disagree with Slot for not bringing Mo over, but at the same time, I also think to myself, like, the fact that he isn't coming over, it only opens up more questions to what's going on, and it creates more speculation. And if anything, it actually makes the media and gives the media an easier job of twisting stories and making them maybe seem worse than what they actually are. I mean, to be fair, they could really be that bad in the dressing room. But when Alisson got asked the question on how if all the players are still behind Slot, he said all the players are still behind Slot. He said, I think he also said that he expected there to be a bit of awkwardness about it, but there wasn't. They haven't just got on with the rest of the day. They got on with training. They got on with pretty much everything. And obviously today, Slot's just, I don't know. Slot didn't mention about bringing Mo Salah aside. He kind of just said.
Well, he basically said he hasn't had a conversation with Mohamed Salah yet one-to-one.
He kind of just said.
He sort of just told him, you're on the team, which would be common procedure for players who aren't travelling. But however, this is Mo Salah on about it, be common procedure for him to travel and probably just pack his bag because he knows he's going. What I do want to pull back to just very quickly on that is the quote for quote is what he said on Mohamed Salah speaking to the media, was he has every right to feel the way he feels, but if he has the right to share it with the media, then we have to react to it. That says to me that, Arne Slot really put his foot down here. He's going after Liverpool's biggest legend at the time, arguably one of the best players the football club's ever seen, maybe the best, and he's willing to go toe-to-toe to stand his ground and not lose the dressing room. I think that's a really big statement to make. It basically says that, we're going to react to it and there is going to be consequences from Mohamed Salah's actions. He's not going to get away with this. What do you think?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, whether people are Mo Salah in, Slot in or Slot out, he's our manager right now, and he's the one who has to get the team going. He's the one who has to get the team changing. Ultimately, if the players don't feel like they're playing, for him, then Arne Slot needs to make sure he stamps his authority on the players and makes them remind them, look, you guys play under my tactics, under my selection, under me. You guys play according to what I say to do, and he needs to stamp it. Stamping his authority on the team is not a bad thing. It's it's what we want to see from a manager. It's the reason why we love Klopp, because he had his authority, but it was a good presence that he had.
Yeah.
I think the reason why people are quite negative towards Slot in this case is because he feels like when he's stamping his authority, it comes across as quite negative. And the only time he's really, given or not, kind of, what's the word, really made sure his authority is clear is in a moment like now, because we've never really seen him say, not harsh words, but be so rash.
I think it would have been very, very easy to let Mohamed Salah walk all over him here and maybe lose a bit of sway in the dressing room. What I find quite alarming is when the statement came out on Saturday, I thought that he would have discussed his statements with the likes of Virgil van Dijk, with the likes of Andrew Robertson with the likes of Alisson Becker. Alisson Becker saying today in his press conference when he comes on after Slot that was not the case. However, we can never be too sure. You know, Alisson Becker and Mo Salah, I'm sure they're good friends, and he wouldn't throw him under the bus like that, like Mohamed Salah's accusing the manager of. So I don't know if we actually get the truth in that, but we can only go with what they've said. And
by the way,
that conversation did not take place.
That Virgil clip as well, that could have been anything. Where he says, "Let him to that could be about anything. That could have been however long ago." So I'm not even taking that into account.
But yeah, the point I just want to get to on that is essentially Mohamed Salah's tried to divide the camp, and it looks to have, from what we're being told, it looks to have not worked. I suppose we'll get more insight with the performance, and you know, there's an uptake in performance, or you know, we're playing really poorly, or look, there's a lack of effort. I'm sure that'll be able to read a little bit more into that situation of how the dressing room is at the moment. But yeah, I think that's a real alarm bell for me that Mohamed Salah hasn't had that. If that is to be true, he hasn't had that conversation with Alisson. He hasn't gone to the senior leaders.
I think it changes the whole dynamic of it.
It really does, because I thought maybe Mohamed Salah's being used as a little bit of a spokesperson for the rest of the dressing room, and this was telling signs that they've lost the dressing room. But it seems like Mohamed Salah's on his own in this situation, and a lot of the lads maybe don't agree with him too much.
Yeah, because as you said before, I think the fact that he hasn't gone and spoken to Van Dijk, the fact he hasn't spoken to Alisson, all these high credited footballers, or like some of his best mates.
What's the leadership team? You know what I mean? The senior players in the team.
They are the senior players in the team. They are our longest serving players in the team as well, by Gomez, obviously. But in terms of like, you know, rank and captaincy or whatever, they are three of the highest, you know, including Salah, obviously. And the fact that he's not probably spoken to them, as Alisson said, I don't know if that's just him trying to protect his own self or if that's actually true, but let's assume that it is true. It changes the dynamic overall, because as I said before, it goes from a case of this is the players using Mo Salah as a spokesman because they know Mo Salah, the kind of power that he has, the kind of influence that he has, the way the fans love him as a legend, how they can, that means he'll get everyone on that side. But when it goes to the point where, you know, it's just his own opinion, then it changes. Now he's just kind of done it for his own not personal gain, but his own recognition, to kind of cause that disturbance himself, because there's maybe a problem in which he sees but no one else sees, and that's why he's wanted to do it. So instead of it being a team squad agenda, it's just fueling his own personal agenda, which I think Slot said as well. He has the right to say it, but the club also have a right to react to how
I think it's going to
they interpret it.
It's going to be really difficult to see. Well, it's going to be really interesting as well, actually, to see how the club sort of play this out. Arne Slot, they go on to say that, you know, he's a firm believer that there's always a possibility for a player to return. So I assume that means the door is open for Mohamed Salah to come back and reconcile, and hopefully there will be conversations that will be had, whether that's before AFCON or after AFCON. We will have to wait and see. But yeah, I feel like there was probably only a couple of avenues Arne Slot could have gone with this today, and it was either give Mohamed Salah his way and start him on Tuesday night, or he sits on the bench and he gets more frustrated, more annoyed, he goes to the mix zone again, or he doesn't travel at all. And if I'm totally honest, if starting Mohamed Salah hadn't crossed his mind at all, then I'm quite happy he's gone with option 3 rather than option 2, because I think him sitting on the bench and talking to the media again and maybe not being subbed on could have stirred up more drama and more stories and possibly more upset in the dressing room. So to be honest, I think it's a bold decision. However, I do probably agree that no one's bigger than the football club.
Yeah, I agree with that. No one's bigger than the football club. However, the way I look at it as well is that, I mean, if Slot really wants to kind of prove himself right, I mean, he can always just play Salah and just be like, look, I've set the team up today. You are playing, you're the main attacker, you played crap, and that's why I dropped you. All you need was a bit of time to be dropped and get you back into the squad and all that. But then that could obviously counteract Slot, because, you know, Salah could easily start and score a hat-trick against Inter. And then again, that's where it gets a bit awkward, because now it almost feels like Slot's doing this for his own protection. Kind of similar to the way when he played a crap team against Palace. It felt like he did that because he wanted to lose the game without being able to just say, I was throwing it away anyway.
Yeah.
And instead of playing a good team, getting battered and being like, well, why are we losing with a good team? It almost feels like with this, he's not bringing him to Italy because it's kind of a case of just throw it away and we don't have to think about it until we get back again against Brighton.
So just to touch on the game, so we do play Inter Milan tomorrow in the midst of all this is going on. You know, and Inter Milan, they sit 4th in the UEFA Champions League. They sit 7th in Serie A. They sit second, in Serie A. And yeah, to be honest, Christian Chivu is the manager. He's sort of quite a young manager, to be honest, and hasn't been managing for too long or had a big job like Inter Milan in him. And to be honest, they look like a really dangerous, threatening side. Liverpool are going to have a really tough game of football. And this is sort of clouding over the fact and sort of getting in the way that Liverpool actually playing a top European side who are above us in the table.
Yeah, no, obviously, like this is a team that got to the Champions League final last season. You know, I mean, obviously they got battered by PSG, but we can't deny like they got to the Champions League final last season. They were a point away from winning the domestic league as well last season. I think they had a similar season to us in 21-22, in which they lost the league and the Champions League in the space of a week last season. So we know how good of a side they are.
Well, what they spoke about a lot in today's press conference was that how sort of similar this Inter Milan team is to the team that went on to the Champions League final. Unfortunately, didn't win it. They were beaten by Manchester City, and sort of that sort of balance they have. Arne Slot actually said there's a lot more similarities than differences within the side. So that's something that obviously he's been looking into. I'm hoping he's been keeping a keen eye on, because Everton, he really needs to be studying this side, because we need 3 points. If we don't get, we at least need a point here today. We need to get a point either out of this one, then Marseille, and we also need to beat Karabakh, because otherwise we're looking at them. Well, even with them results, we could still be staring at a playoff round. So it's really difficult, to be honest. Liverpool need to win one of these next 2 away games, in my opinion.
You need to get 3 points on the board. It's important now, because you can. I mean, it's not that there's any excuse really to say, oh, but it's only the league phase. At this point now of the season, it doesn't. The context of the competition doesn't matter. We are in desperate need of a win. We are in desperate need of a season-changing win. We are in desperate need of a game in which we finally get the progression we've needed, which allows us to play long-term and get good long-term results. Is tomorrow going to be the game? We have to wait and see. I can't say in this moment of time, yes, it will. No, I don't think it will. We have just got to wait and see what team has played on the day, how they perform, and then use that performance and analyse it then against Brighton. And then you can kind of see, because this is now a different Liverpool side, because of the whole Salah stuff. And yeah, he hasn't played. He didn't play against West Ham at all. He only played 45 against Sunderland.
He didn't
play against Leeds. So in the sense of Salah's not being in the squad, it's the same thing, but the dynamic's still different, because Salah's not in the team at all. That it's for the Champions League game. Salah's not there.
Anyway,
so
we'll wrap it there, because we could talk all day about it. I'm not going to ask you for a score prediction, because I don't want to predict us to get beat. But I'm a firm believer that we probably won't win this one. However, I'd love us to, because we've travelled all the way here.
Exactly. Liverpool 3-1.
Oh, there you go. You're going for it. I'm not giving one. Please leave your score predictions in the comments. Let me know what you think about Mo Salah. Let me know about what you think about Arne Slot, how he had handled the press conference. If I'm honest, I thought he was quite dismissive, but let me know your thoughts. And please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.